This is a sitcom pilot entitled Where Were We? By Al Locascio and Larry Esposito. We begin in the data entry room. Stanley Hammer is gazing at a blank wall. His back is to the office door. The office is stark and windowless. There is one table with a computer on it, 2 chairs under it, and a big wall clock over it. Stanley's head moves as though he is looking out a window. He's wearing a business suit and carrying a briefcase in his left hand. There's a knock at the open door. A very preppy Damien Cross enters. He walks towards Stanley with his right hand extended.
Hi, Mr. Greta. I'm your new editorial assistant. Sorry I'm a little early, but I thought, it's my first day, you know.
Number 1, I am not Mr. Greta. I am Stanley Hammer with 1 R.
Oh, well, I'm Damien Cross with 1 C. I was told to report to Joe Greta.
Number 2, you are not early, you are late. I am early.
I thought you said you were Hammer.
Joe Greta, a frumpy young lady, enters. She is the office manager, a recent immigrant from the Soviet Union. She speaks with a heavy Russian accent, eliminating articles and pronouncing V as W, and vice versa.
Who are you? I am Cross, he's Hammer, 1 R.
Joe extends her hand to Damien. They shake hands.
Mr. Cross.
She turns to Stanley and shakes his hand.
Mr. 1 R.
Stanley glares at Damien, then smiles at Joe. I am so pleased to meet you, but my name is...
Whatever. I'm Miss Greta, 1 M and 1 S. Miss Greta. Remember that? And we will do well. Mr. Cross, you are editor. Mr. Hammer, you are computer analyst. I am supervisor.
Both men look at each other aghast.
Your assignment, should you choose to accept, is work as data entry team.
But there's only 1 computer.
I stand corrected, Mr. Hammer. You are computer analyst and mathematician. Your first assignment is on table. Gentlemen, start your computer.
Joe exits. Damien seats himself before the stack of paper on the table.
I read, you type.
Who died and left you king?
A computer analyst, a mathematician, and an anarchist.
By what authority do you tell me what to do?
I sat down first.
How do you know I can type?
I don't, but I know I can read.
We now see a montage of people rushing through Grand Central Terminal and up the escalators to the MetLife building. We see people piling into elevators. A pair of double doors opens onto a busy work environment with lots of activity. We pan across the office doors with names and titles and zoom in on a small, unmarked door. Inside, there are 2 empty chairs and 1 table. 1 chair is in front of a PC, the other is in front of a stack of papers 2 inches high. The walls are bare except for a large clock over the table. There is no window. Recessed fluorescent light overhead pours bluish haze on the room. And we begin inside the office. Damien is reading slowly as Stanley hunts and pecks for keys.
13, 27, 16, 9.
You are reading too fast.
You're typing too slow.
You remind me of my first wife.
She read too fast?
No, she had poor posture. Time passes, reflected by moving hands on the clock on the wall. Damien is reading a monotonous list of numbers while Stanley pecks away. A cowbell clangs. Stanley clutches his temple with both hands. There it goes again.
What?
The ringing in my ears. This is the loudest it has ever been. It's like a clang.
Relax, it's just a cow.
A cow? In the office?
Or maybe it's the end of round 1. Or maybe the little engine that could, did.
Or maybe you can get up and look.
Why don't you?
Because I am finishing this number. Damien exits. Stanley finishes a number and waits, poised for the next number, for Damien to return. Stanley taps his foot, checks his watch, wiggles his legs, and generally appears anxious and annoyed. Damien returns with a cup of coffee and a cheese Danish. He speaks with his mouth full.
It was Pedrito.
Pedrolito? Funny name for a cow.
Pedrito is the coffee guy.
The coffee gentleperson? Why didn't you tell me he was here? Did it ever occur to you that I might want some coffee? Damien offers him some of his. Stanley spurns the offer and points at the reading document.
Whatever. 79, 106.
Shouldn't that be 106? Damien takes a large bite out of his Danish and nods agreement.
10632.
A piece of cheese flies out of his mouth onto the computer screen. Stanley stares at it in disgust, then looks more closely. His face gleams with rapturous recognition. Is that a cheese Danish? Stanley bolts from his chair and flies out the door. A moment later, he returns, totally disappointed and disgusted. He takes his seat and positions his finger over the keyboard, but doesn't speak a word.
Oh, yeah. The guy left. 36Z1C00.
How could you? Damien realizes that Stanley is wounded, so he extends the last bite toward him. Stanley leans forward and scrutinizes the morsel. You ate all the cheese out of it.
To paraphrase my Irish priest father, the last shall be first, and the first shall be last, except when it comes to cheese.
How can that be?
My father felt cheese was special.
No, I mean, how can your father be an Irish priest?
He was born in Ireland.
No, how can he be a priest?
He graduated from a seminary.
Okay, then how can he be your father?
He conceived me.
Your mother had sex with a priest?
No, my mother had sex with my father.
But you said your father was like our father, a priest.
My father is not your father. But if he was still a priest, that would make him our father.
But you said your father was an Irish priest.
He is still Irish, but he is no longer a priest.
Was your mother a nun?
Of course not. My mother was a flamenco dancer.
Stanley frowns. The office door opens, revealing the mail clerk, Elmo, an African-American male nearing retirement. He is behind his overflowing canvas-sided mail cart. The cart has a high pole with a red safety flag and a New York Mets pennant on it. Stenciled on the canvas in black letters are the words, "Fear of Ordinary Life." Mail call. Got some mail for y'all. Oh, who are y'all? I am Stanley Hammer with one R.
I'm Damien Cross with one C.
Well, I'm Elmo. No R, no C, and no mail. Elmo chuckles, does his signature quick two-step dance, ending up with an extended open hand, 1 foot forward, and a wide, toothy, open-mouthed smile. He waits for a reaction. Receiving none, he pulls the door closed and exits. No mail? Don't they know who I am? What's so funny?
I'm not laughing at you, but what you said reminds me of Mozambique.
Mozambique? Are you a philatelist?
Philatelist? No, I'm strictly heterosexual.
I meant, are you a stamp collector?
What does that have to do with my sexuality?
Nothing. You mentioned Mozambique. Mozambique has such big, beautiful stamps.
Stamps? No. You said, don't they know who I am? I was in Mozambique on a fact-finding mission with the United Nations team. Oh, must have been 66 or 67. Whatever.
Damien stares blankly at the printout he is reading from. We now go to the Mozambique countryside. It is 1967. Damien is driving a Jeep over a crater-filled road. He wears a khaki summer uniform with a UN brassard. Captain's bars are on his epaulets and blue beret. U.S. Senator Clement Glock from Louisiana is in the front passenger seat. He represents a consortium of cashew growers, the Organization of Cashew Exporting Cooperatives, or OCEC. He is trying to get Mozambican farmers to decrease their cashew output in order to stabilize international prices. The senator wears a white full-length summer suit and a white pith helmet with mosquito netting. He is pompous, overweight, and constantly wiping the sweat from his brow with a spotted red and white bandana. Ahead, a group of spider monkeys swings through the trees. Where do they get these potholes?
They import them from the Bronx.
Ahead, some wild boars scamper across the road. What the hell is that?
Just some wild boars.
Pretty weird-looking things. Are there a lot of boars around here?
Quite a few. In fact, there was one more today than there was yesterday.
Oh, I see you are a comedian. I will not tolerate disrespect. From now on, you will address me as Senator, sir.
And you will address me as Captain, Senator.
Your impudence, Captain, could get you relieved from this assignment.
That would be a relief, Senator.
Damien scans the treetops as he drives. He notices a camouflaged platform deep in the trees. And on the platform, a native lookout blows on a large horn that makes a shrieking sound. What was that?
A pigeon, Senator.
Must be an awfully big pigeon.
Yeah, well, they import those from the Bronx, too.
They continue driving. Damien scans the roadside and the road ahead, alert for danger. The senator sweats.
So, Senator, what brings you to this neck of the jungle?
A matter of the gravest importance.
National security?
No, cashew.
That's nuts, Senator.
Well, nuts to you, Captain, but big bucks to my constituents back home.
Hey, Senator, do you know the difference between deer nuts and beer nuts?
Why, no.
Beer nuts are under $1. Deer nuts are under $1.
That may be. But in a nutshell, my only concern is the price of cashews.
Hey.
What's so funny?
Nothing, really. Speaking of nutshells, do you know why cashews are never sold with the shells?
Of course I know that. Why do you think they are sold without shells?
Cashews actually have inner shell and an outer shell, between which is a toxic oil.
A mortar shell explodes in front of the Jeep. Damien remains calm and steers clear of the crater as debris cascades on the Jeep. What the hell was that?
Mortar round. Mortar shells can be toxic too, even deadly.
Is someone trying to kill us?
Oh, no, Senator. That was a round of applause.
Now we see the dust-covered Damien and Glock riding in the Jeep. How much longer until we get to a town with facilities?
At this rate, about 2 days.
2 days? I have to go to the bathroom. 2 more bumps and I will have gone to the bathroom, Captain. They passed by the burned-out hulk of an armored personnel carrier crashed in a roadside ditch. Damien stares as they pass, trying to discern an identifying mark on the vehicle.
There was a friendly Bantu village on the side road about, 2 kilometers ahead, Senator.
Well, what do you mean, was?
Well, maybe there still is.
Maybe still is what? Still is friendly or still is there?
Maybe both, Senator. Maybe neither.
Glock sweats profusely and wipes his brow. Next, we come to the village. The village consists of 6 thatched huts. The chief leads 10 natives to the vehicle. Damien and the chief talk in Bantu. Glock, not understanding Bantu, fidgets in his seat.
Welcome, Captain. Did you bring that roasted pig for lunch?
Enough of the pleasantries, Captain. Tell him I need to use a bathroom.
Chief, the pig has a contribution for your communal potty.
The villagers back off slowly. The chief frowns.
Tell him to go quickly. The winds are about to shift.
Senator, the chief welcomes you to unload your burden.
The chief gestures for a small boy to lead Glock. The boy walks to a path and points toward the brush. Glock bolts from the jeep and rushes into the brush. And rushes right back out, apoplectic. A hole in the ground? What kind of primitive facilities? Don't they know who I am? I am a U.S. Senator, not a savage.
Chief, the pig is offended by the stench of the sty.
The chief shouts out commands. Suddenly, 3 natives brandishing machetes rush toward Glock. Glock freezes in fear, but they run 10 yards past the senator and chop their way into the bush. The chief rolls his eyes to Damien.
Typical American tourist, always complaining about the accommodations.
Glock is losing his patience. He grabs his bottle of Coca-Cola from the jeep and guzzles it down. I can't wait any longer. He starts to walk into the brush on the opposite side of the road. The chief puts an arm out to stop him.
No.
Captain, what does he mean, no? Doesn't he know who I am?
Mines.
What does he mean, his? Glock clutches his Coke bottle, then guzzles the rest of it, and tosses the empty bottle across the road. When it lands at the brush, it hits a landmine. The mine explodes. Damien and the natives dive to the ground. The senator freezes in fear, and Damien stands and brushes himself off nonchalantly.
Senator, I believe the chief used the term mines, as in anti-personnel mines.
The machete-wielding natives return to the road, and the chief gestures at Glock and points to the bush.
Senator, you have been granted an honor befitting a chief.
What honor is that, Captain?
You get to go first.
Glock tosses his pith helmet into the jeep and struts into the brush. He is wiping the sweat from his head and neck with his red and white bandana.
Chief, sounds like he found relief.
There goes the white man's burden.
Suddenly, the sound of helicopter engines starting is followed by the appearance of a gunship hovering at treetop level. On its floor is a bloodied Senator Glock, bound hand and foot and gagged with his own red and white bandana. A door gunner strafes the jeep as Damien and the chief dive behind it for cover. Back in the office, Damien and Stanley are finishing the story. Why was he abducted?
I guess they knew who he was.
Incredible. Did you get any stamps?
What? You should have asked Elmo for stamps.
Was Elmo there too?
Elmo is doing his job. What are you two doing? Working, Miss Greta. Good. It's 12:30. Lunch is over.
Joe exits. Lunch? You made us miss lunch. Stanley gets up and goes to his briefcase. He performs his elaborate signature ritual to undo the locks and pulls out a giant submarine sandwich. He sits back down at the computer, and Damien looks at the sandwich with envy.
Is that an Italian combo sub?
Stanley nods and winks as he takes a gigantic bite and grins with his mouth full. Start reading. I can type and eat.
22, 49, 86. I love Italian subs.
Who doesn't?
Do you think I could have a hunk? A taste? Come.
To paraphrase your Irish father, the last shall be first and the first shall be last, except when it comes to Capicola. Hands revolve on the huge wall clock. Later in the same office, Damien continues to read off numbers. Stanley stops typing. He goes to his briefcase and again performs his elaborate ritual to open it. He takes out a tube of muscle relaxer and coats his hands with it. Damien tries to peek into the briefcase, but Stanley sees him and closes it quickly. Stanley exercises his hands by opening and closing them. It stays in your blood, doesn't it?
What stays in your blood? Muscle relaxer?
See? It is rooted in the very fiber of your being. First you try to spy inside my briefcase, and then you deny any knowledge of or involvement in any such operation, which even if it existed, which it doesn't, you would not be at liberty to discuss.
I was just trying to see what you have in there. You protect that thing like it was Fort Knox.
I've seen your kind before, which is precisely why I take all necessary precautions. You're incorrigible.
Too bad you don't type as quickly as you jump to conclusions.
I've got your number.
Good. Get these numbers. 3, 7, 6. What is it with all this secrecy anyway? You have something to hide? Answer me.
You child! Enclosed within that weathered leather is something far more dear to me than your paranoid curiosity.
Sorry I asked.
And whether it contains the sum total of my life experience or another submarine sandwich, it is most certainly no business of yours.
Your life experience, huh? I can believe that. Look at it. It's short, flat, dull, and probably empty.
If you only knew.
If you only told me, I would know. But who cares? Where were we?
It was a gift from my first wife. She gave it to me as a birthday present the morning she was murdered. I came home that night. We see Stanley's house. It is night. The house is large and elegant. Stanley pulls his Mercedes into the driveway. He notices the front door is open. Suddenly, a one-armed man bolts out of the house and runs right into the car. He lays across the hood, and their eyes meet. Stanley jumps out of the car and challenges the man. Who are you? What were you doing in my house?
I'm the TV cable installer. I was on my way to climb the pole across the street when you ran into me.
Oh, gosh. I've ruined my birthday surprise.
Yeah. Don't tell anyone you saw me, and you can act surprised when you enter the house.
Good. But I'll have to wait out here until you're done. That way you can check the reception. What's wrong? Don't you check the reception after a hookup?
Yeah, but I got this terrible pain in my legs. I think they're broken.
Oh, dear. Does this mean you can't climb the pole? Can you call and have another man come out? I mean, it is my birthday.
Happy birthday. Call an ambulance, please.
Of course. Stanley runs into the house. The man rolls off the hood, limps into the car, and drives off. We return to the office where Stanley finishes his story. I found my wife's body lying in the foyer, between the umbrella stand and my 3-foot-high ceramic zirconia Good Luck Indian elephant.
What happened to him?
Well, it's still in my foyer. I just moved it to where the umbrella stand used to be.
Not the elephant, the one-armed man.
Oh, I never saw him or my Mercedes again. Where were we?
Gentlemen, save document and copy to disk. Bring to my office in 5 minutes.
Yes, Miss Greta.
Any questions?
Where's your office?
Next to the water cooler.
Joe exits before they can ask another question. Damien, where's the water cooler?
Where Pedrolito stops with the coffee cart.
Oh, yes. Pedrolito, who, thanks to you, I have not yet had the pleasure of meeting.
Just save the file and copy it to disk.
I have to go to the bathroom.
I don't know how.
Weren't you toilet trained?
Very funny. You know I meant that I don't know how to copy to a disk.
You gave Miss Greta the impression that you did.
We gave Miss Greta that impression.
Well, then we better figure it out.
Oh, I believe it may be a combination of keys.
How about Alt and Control?
Damien reaches over to the keyboard and presses the two keys and keeps his fingers on them. Don't go touching keys. You might hit delete by mistake. Stanley points to delete and accidentally hits it. The computer screen goes blank and then shows the rebooting process. Damien and Stanley stare at the screen, mouths agape, as they realize they have just lost all their work. A few moments later in the office, Stanley and Damien sit staring at the screen.
What did you do? You blew it.
I did not. I nearly hit a button by mistake.
What button was that?
Delete. Okay, so what?
So you can tell Miss Greta that we have no work to show her. That's what.
Why, I only touched one button. You touched two. Therefore, you are twice as responsible as I am. So you should tell her.
That's the speakering. Tell her that. Well, Miss Greta, I don't know, the lights dimmed and the computer went crazy. I will check with building maintenance. If we have power problem, it could have serious consequences on database and switching pathways through terminals to mainframe buffer.
Oh, my thoughts exactly.
You have to get your uninterruptible power supply. For now, just give me disk you saved on and continue working. It happened just as we were about to save our work. Every half hour. Did you not save to backup disk? Well, we had no disk.
Yes, we never received our allotment of storage media.
I see. Well, you must finish work before you leave.
But it's almost quitting time.
You buttered your bread. Now sleep on it.
As she leaves, she bumps into Elmo with his mail cart.
Watch where you go with this thing.
Joe exits. Elmo pokes his head in the door and points at his warning flag. Maybe if I had a hammer and sickle on the flag, Miss Greta would have seen me. He waits for a reaction, but Stanley and Damien are too serious. Hey, why the long faces? It's almost quitting time. Aren't you guys done? Yes, we are done. Well done. Well, that's rare. Getting no response, Elmo leans over and looks at the screen. Something wrong with the computer? It's not very cooperative. I believe user-friendly is the term. Elmo steps up to the keyboard and almost offhandedly makes a flurry of strokes that gets Stanley and Damien back into the program. Oh, I don't know. Seems friendly enough to me. And we haven't even been formally introduced. Elmo pauses for a reaction. Stanley and Damien stare wide-eyed at the screen.
That was sensational.
Thanks. I've been working on a stand-up routine for open mic night at the comedy club. You are joking.
Can you show us how to do that?
Sure, come on down on Wednesday night. The Elmo Luna entry module touches down at 7:30. I call my show The Elmo Has Landed.
If we don't learn how to get in and out of this program, Stanley and I will be laughed out of a job.
And that's not funny. Elmo stands between Stanley and Damien and places one hand on each of their shoulders. Tell you what, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. I show you how to get in, get out, and copy the disc. You come to the show Wednesday night and hoot and howl at my routine.
You drive a hard bargain, Elmo. What if Stanley just hoots and I howl?
I neither hoot nor howl. I will, however, provide a rousing hurrahs and frequent rounds of applause. That's a deal.
Let the games begin.
The hands revolve on the huge wall clock, and Later, in the same office, Elmo stands back as Stanley pecks at the computer. Damien shuffles back to the beginning of his pile of papers. This is fantastic.
Elmo, how did you get to be such a computer whiz?
You know, I wasn't always the resident expert on envelope identification and consignment. It is getting very late. I can't stay here all night.
706 A G3.
Elmo starts for the door. Oh, sure, I understand. You guys need to get rolling, so I'll just roll on out of here.
227 10CKY.
Elmo shakes his head and walks out. Damien looks up.
Elmo!
Slow down, will you? I can't keep up.
What are you typing?
I got as far as Elmo. Where did he go?
I don't know. Who was that mailman? Where were we? Hiya. 13, 27, 16, 9.
You are reading too fast.
You are typing too slow. You've had 7 hours of practice. You should be used to it by now. Practice makes perfect.
Well, there is a fatigue factor, not to mention the pain in the end of my finger.
Use different fingers. When you run out of fingers, use your nose.
You remind me of my second wife.
Why? Did she have a problem with your one-finger technique?
No. Her nostrils needed treatment.
Where were we? 13, 27, 16, 9,